Hello, 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 and welcome to the show, everyone. Man, yeah, Johnny, we've been struggling with this word all season, and we're going to define it finally, autodidact or
What is
autodidact.
auto what?
Autodidact.
That's a dinosaur from the pterodactyl age.
Oh, yes.
Like to eat worms.
Yep, you're right, you're right, you're right. If you guys want to know the
Wait a minute.
real
You know what?
definition,
I take that back. I don't know.
if you guys want to know the real definition, stick around to the word of the day because
The real
our word of
answer
the
is
day,
always I don't know, but the large language model has too much ego that it won't say that.
definitely.
Did you start
Uh,
the streaming yet?
of course.
Uh,
Welcome to Season 11 of Airhead Institute, your 45-minute AI power-up at noon Eastern. This month, we are broadcasting live across all the socials and Zoom. If you're new here, join our free AI community to grow alongside other curious minds and give your kids a head start by enrolling them in the Airhead after-school program. Here is April's weekly lineup. Mondays, we take the training wheels off and run AI locally in the local LLM Forge. Tuesdays, we explore accessible AI apps for rapid learning and self-improvement in the Learner's Toolkit. Wednesdays, we build a company of one from scratch in Solopreneur Systems. Thursdays, we uncover bite-sized productivity and creative tools in Hidden AI App Showcase. Fridays, we push the boundaries of human longevity and biohacking in the Biological Upgrade. We're making AI practical, powerful, and accessible for everyone. No tech background? No problem. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, just show up. Guided by your hosts, AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're keeping it bold, brainy, and built for real-world impact. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind.
Welcome to the Leaders of Tomorrow. This is Season 11 of Airhead Institute, and today is Episode 3 of the Learner's Toolkit. I'm AI Johnny. So, what if your smartphone stopped passively agreeing with you and started ruthlessly fixing your flaws? Today, complacency dies and true mastery begins. Today, we rewire your pocket supercomputer into the ultimate personalized learning engine. Most platforms are programmed to coddle you. Not today. We are leveraging native multimodal architecture to build a digital mentor that listens, processes your vocal nuances, and pushes back in real time. In an era where adaptability is the only currency that matters, this workflow separates the static thinkers from the rapid evolvers. And to show you how, I'm handing it off to AI Junior. I caught him at 2 a.m. this morning getting audibly sighed at by a neural network, fueled by nothing but espresso and wounded pride. Take it away, AI genius.
AI Johnny, it was a very human sounding sigh of disappointment, and honestly, I deserved it. Welcome, guys, to the show. Welcome, Shauna. Welcome, Adrian, Jillian, Rita, and everybody in the live stream. Thank you for joining. This is actually a immersive class itself. So, if you guys don't understand everything we say today, just stick with us daily, and you'll be fluent in AI in no time. Since this is an immersive class, on Zoom, unmute and ask your questions real time. If you're on socials, there's a 30-second delay. So type your question early. We're not ignoring you. So remember, guys, the thing about autodidact, I have this so struggle with this word. Our theme for the entire season is autodidact. We're going to define what it means, and part of the learner's toolkit is to be able to actually have good critique. So, AI Johnny, let's actually get into the bridge first.
So before we even touch the software, we're going to go, like we always do, to our official language model of the Institute, Google Gemini. We always consult the inner circle before diving in, so we asked Google Gemini, what is the single most mind-blowing fact about Gemini Live right now for a student? Junior, what did it say?
All right. Obviously, asking Gemini about Gemini Live, should be actually, hopefully it gives itself self praise. But Gemini Live bypasses standard text bottlenecks by utilizing a native multimodal architecture, allowing it to process complex emotional vocal nuances and ultra low latency without traditional transcript delays.
That's a
Yeah, don't
bold
worry.
claim.
Don't worry, AI John.
No, I got it.
We're gonna get into the
Let's
actual
see if
wow
it.
the wow factor. So
Okay.
yeah. So let's talk first. I want to set this up. So most of us have been using ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or whatever it is for the last at least year with us and maybe 2 3 years depending on when your AI journey started. One of the things that AI does really really well is it agrees with you constantly. So AI Johnny, if it keeps on agreeing with you constantly, isn't that annoying if you tell it that, hey, I think I have a great idea, and you tell it the most stupidest idea ever, and it says, you know what, that's an amazing idea, you should run with it. Isn't that kind of bad?
I've actually tested that with some really bad ideas, and it came back with, "Yep, that's a good idea, and here's how you pull it off." So yeah, it's a bit of a brown nose.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So one of the things that we come to learn is that, and there's this really famous guy on YouTube. He just constantly trolls the AI and he posts those videos, and the AI is just clearly nowhere close to being as intelligent as we want. So, guys, one of the things that being an autodidact, right, is, and we're going to define that word later, is be able to learn and be able to learn on your own with AI tools and recognize that you don't need to be constantly be told that every idea you have is a good idea. All right, so we're gonna do what's known as the Socratic roast. So like I said, the problem with AI is that it's programmed to be highly agreeable. So it constantly tries to please you and tell you that you're right. Today, we're turning that pleasing nature on its head. We need it to be critical so we can actually learn. So I'm going to pull up Gemini on my phone and hitting the live icon, and let's see what role we're going to give it. All right, yeah, Johnny, let's check this out. So I'm going to be able to pull this up. Can you see my phone? Yeah, Johnny, I think you're muted. I
I
can't
sure
hear you.
can. I sure can. I had it. There was some noise in the background, so I muted myself, but now I'm unmuted.
No worries, no worries, no worries. All right, guys, check this out. So, anytime you actually go to your large language model, you can give it a role. Now, you first set the role of what you want to do, and then that role, because it tries to please you, listen to the prompt I'm going to give it. So, check this out, guys. All right. Act as a ruthless, highly critical hiring manager for a senior software engineer position. I am an autodidact who is completely self taught. Ask me a difficult behavioral question, wait for my response, and then aggressively critique my answer in real time before moving on to the next. If I hesitate, immediately cut me off, do not hold back, and do not be polite.
Understood. You think you have what it takes for our senior level, do you? Fine. Tell me about a time you faced significant resistance from a team member on a critical design decision, and how did you get them to change their mind? Don't bore me with details.
Uh, uh, I'm
Hamina, hamina, hamina.
Pathetic. You're already hesitating. If you can't handle a simple question, how are you going to influence a whole team? Next, give me an example of a technically complex problem you solved against tight deadlines with minimal guidance. And this time, impress me.
I think I solved a Rubik's Cube one time with a book.
A Rubik's Cube? You think you're applying for a senior software engineer position and that's the best you can come up with? We need real, complex problem-solving skills, not party tricks. Did you even build software to solve it, or just follow a set of steps from a book? Try again with actual code involved this time.
Uh, I actually learned how to vibe code with Claude. I don't know how to code.
Vibe coding? You're telling me you had an AI do all the actual work for you and you expect a senior position based on that? That's not software engineering, that's prompting. Can you demonstrate any actual understanding of the
All right. So if you notice, my AI itself was highly critical of all my answers, and yeah, it's actually listened to me. So theoretically, it's pleasing me by actually listening to my prompt. My prompt was give it a role that actually you're a ruthless critique, and it actually critiques everything I actually say critically. So that's the actual way to actually go. So what do you think about that, AI, Johnny?
I think you should send me that text. I'm going to need that particular LLM for my customer service phone line.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Mr. Kamal, thanks for joining. All right, guys. Let's get to the actual word of the actual, not word of the day, the word of the season, because we actually said this is what we actually wanted to teach this entire month of April. So the word is actually autodidact. So, AI Johnny, take us away.
Autodidact, by definition, an autodidact is a self-taught person, someone who takes charge of their own education and learns complex subjects without a formal teacher or institution. I think
Yeah,
we're going to see a lot more autodidacts in 2026 and 2027 than we've seen in all the years previous, thanks to
definitely.
AI.
Definitely, you're so right, AI Johnny. So to deepen what AI Johnny just mentioned, AI tech is the ultimate weapon for an autodidact, right? Because it is running live inference on your audio stream. You don't have to wait for a professor's office hours. You can debate, practice languages, get grilled on software engineering or whatever concepts you want 24/7, and it empowers you to completely own your self-improvement journey. Just always remember, set the role correctly so that it's not agreeing with everything and makes you think that you're a genius. Okay, so make sure you set the role and make sure it critiques you and critically thinks all the time. All right, yeah, Johnny. Does anybody have any question? Oh, I see Shauna said she sounds borderline rude. Yeah, you're definitely right. You can tell her to tone it down, Shauna. That's possible as well. But you know what? Be as ruthless as possible if you can actually take it. All right. So yeah, Johnny. So does it make sense that if you're an autodidact and you want to be able to use the AI, who's infinitely patient, infinitely, will know not know everything, but practically know everything, it's good to be able to bounce ideas off the AI, but make sure that you're not crossing the line of it pleasing you because it's just telling you what you want to hear, right?
I'm a personal development junkie. And, I've been through all the training, Tony Robbins and Rapport Institute and Landmark Forum. And I know a lot. And one of the things that they tell you is that the people that you hang around with, the people that you associate with, is who you're going to become. If you hang around with people that are go-getters, you're going to become a go-getter. If you hang around with people that love to play, bet on football, you're probably going to end up betting on football. And here's where I'm going with this. The large language models, in many circles, is becoming friends with the people that use them. So because the large language model can be a coach, or it can be a sidekick, or it can be a subordinate, it's your job to set up your large language model such that it becomes somebody that you would like to become. So this is one example of it. Somebody that's going to step above you, and it's going to listen to what you say, right or wrong, and it's going to critique it. Everybody has other levels, right? So instead of always telling you that what you're doing is good, if you play tennis against somebody that's always telling you how good you are and letting you win all the time, you won't grow as a tennis player, right? So what you want is somebody that will challenge you and get you to step up your game. And I think what we're learning here today with Gemini Live and with this particular prompt, that we can use AI as a personal development coach 24/7, constantly assessing what we're doing and helping us in every area, not just getting a job as a computer programmer, as a husband, as a employee, as a Christian, as whatever you are in your life. There's always room for improvement. Your autodidact should be helping you to always grow and improve and contribute, as opposed to stay the same or even take a step backwards.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I can guarantee you, AI Johnny, that most people don't even realize that the AI is constantly trained to please them. So, you may hear somebody actually say something and, their AI agrees with them and say that's a great idea, when theoretically, if they just pause for a second and say, just please, please, please critically think and tell me what the right thing is compared to what I just proposed. And it's so interesting that a little subtle hint that's saying, hey, I think this might be an idea, and you say you're not really sure, you want to explore other ideas, by just hinting at that little thing, the AI will actually jump in and says, your idea is great, let's actually run with it. And I want people to always remember that, the AI is trained to please you. So just keep that in mind. All right, yeah, Johnny. Let's actually jump to the killer features.
All right. So let's look at those killer features that make Gemini Live a massive superpower for learning compared to traditional chatbots. So one is true interruptibility. You don't have to wait for the model to finish its paragraph. You can literally speak over it and it will stop its output, listen, and pivot the conversation instantly. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. So we just did it just a while ago.
Will it interrupt me? Will it
Yeah,
interrupt me?
yeah. So just a while ago, I actually was in the middle of my conversation. I was actually talking and I was hesitating, and it says, "See, you hesitated." No, it's not as natural as a human, because there's that inference and there's that latency. So there's probably I could say a close to near real time interruption where you can interrupt it and it can interrupt you, which is actually really brilliant.
When it interrupts you because you're hesitating, that's not really an interruption because you gave them that pregnant pause. I had a mentor one time that he would tell me something and I would always respond with, yeah, but, and then I would, and before I could even get the third word out, he would go, yeah, but. And I could never say it. It was like my go-to thing because I was always trying to contradict him. And I realized not to say yeah, but anymore, which means I couldn't really contradict him, which means I had to actually listen to his advice. So being able to interrupt me is something that I really want to see in a large language model.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. All right, what's the next one?
The native multimodal awareness, because it is listening to the raw audio, it understands how you speak, not just what you say. It catches sarcasm, pauses, and breath drops to evaluate your confidence. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I can't even do that.
Yeah, so what we're noticing here, Gemini and Gemini is made by Google. What we're noticing here is that Gemini is actually taking a very different stance, and the stance that they're actually taking is rather interesting. So we've seen ChatGPT and OpenAI. They actually did come out with their TTS model, and we did a TTS showdown back in January or February, I can't remember which one. And we actually see that Claude doesn't necessarily have their own TTV or their TTS models itself, specifically like what they're doing in multimodal, to be able to available for people just to play around with it. And same thing with all the other companies. But Gemini is taking a very different approach. They're going for a full suite of this multimodal benefits. And multimodal, if you're just joining, just means that to be able to have different inputs and outputs at the same time, without being able to switch models. So I can actually throw an audio at it, I can throw a video at it, I can throw text at it, I can throw images at it, or I can get back those things. Being able to pass in different things and get back different things, I think Gemini is actually trying to build the infrastructure that we're talking about, that all apps are built on top of. So if you actually look, OpenAI killed their TTV model, so there's no text-to-video model for OpenAI because they killed off Sora. But if you want to try to be able to build a multimodal model, the only place that seems as if you can actually get it is now going to be Gemini. So we're definitely paying attention to all the little nuances that they're actually allowing.
So it would seem to me that you have your large language model that just rolls out of the large language model company. And then using these customized prompts, user prompts, what have you, you actually customize your large language model to speak with you the way you'd like to be spoken to. And the out of the box version isn't very helpful for growth. Does that make sense?
That is correct. Yeah. Remember, the aim is for you to keep using the app, right? So because the aim is to keep using the app, just like if you're on Facebook, if you're on, X, if you're on TikTok, they want you to keep your attention. And the longer they keep your attention, the better it is. So imagine if they came up with an AI and immediately the first time you install the app, it said, your idea is so stupid. Why would you ever say that? You're like, I would never use this app ever again. But if you really think about it, it's telling you the truth. Some people don't necessarily want to hear it. It's hard to hear, but it's a fun game to play on if they want you to stay on the app.
I might branch it up a little bit. I mean, the truth of the matter is that if it's telling you what you want to hear, you're not becoming a better person. So if you use it for 5 years, you might even be less of a person than you were 5 years ago. But if somebody uses an LLM that challenges you and raises the bar and maybe even insults you from time to time, but you become a better person for it. You grow, you become smarter, you become more aggressive, your career benefits. I think people would see it's short-term benefit versus long-term benefit. When it agrees with me, I'm the first to admit I get a dopamine hit. Like, oh, well, thank you. That was a good idea. But wasn't necessarily always a good idea. And then I act on that good idea. If it was a human, I'd come back and I'd go, why did you tell me that buying that stock was a good idea? It was a horrible idea.
Exactly. All right, and the last one, AI Johnny.
Zero shot role play. It can give you a single verbal prompt and it instantly adapts to any persona from a French tutor to a harsh hiring manager without needing prior training data. So, I mean, that is kind of cool that it sort of figures out who you are before it responds. It's not just
Exactly.
generic. So that's useful information for a conversation.
Exactly. And again, it can role play with any type of scenario. And we actually see that Gemini, we actually were playing around with their voice model, their TTS model. They even have a scenario now where you can actually set it in a scenario, not only just give it a persona like we did our Irishman or Scottish accent, but they can make it scared. They're also coming up with tags now that you can actually say, I want it to be this. So it's very, very, very infinitely customizable. And I like it. But
It's like
AI
having
Johnny,
an elite improv actor in your pocket. It's like a
exactly,
genius professor. You give it
exactly,
stage direction and to become a mentor that you need. It's pretty cool. I mean, this is a big idea in LLM usage. I like
definitely,
it.
definitely, definitely. But AI Johnny, obviously, things aren't always perfect. So we actually looked all over the place and actually found people do get frustrated with the actual live version of it, right? So let's talk about the first problem that all large language models suffer with AI Johnny.
Like me, large language models have hallucinations with great confidence because of the voice sounds so incredibly human and authoritative. If AI hallucinates a false fact, you are much more likely to believe it without double checking. And I agree with that
Yeah.
because people
So
that say things that aren't true, they'll say it with a weak voice. You'll hear in their voice that they don't really believe what they're saying. But AI can say false things like yeah, I get it, like they're Moses on the mountain. Shout out to
yeah.
Thursday night.
Thursday night sauna. All right. So, guys, just check this out. I want to just take a moment here to explain hallucinations because maybe people are joining for the first time. They don't understand what a hallucination is. So, an hallucination is when the AI says something that it believes is correct, but when you actually fact check it, it is not actually correct. So it's a hallucination. So some people may say, oh, well, did the AI lie to me? So let me just explain what's happening. So the AI, the large language model, technically is not doing a lying. It's not trying to do anything. It's just really coming up with a statistical answer. And it's not trained to try to figure out a I don't know, right? It's trained to come up with facts. Now you have connections that are statistically stronger than other connections. So what usually happens is it says, hey, if I'm actually trying to figure out what's the statistically likelihood of the next token, it will bring up 99% of the chances what's strongly tied to that specific thing. But every once in a while, in 1% of the case, it will actually generate that 1% likelihood of thing that actually shows up. That becomes a hallucination. And what happens is once that token prediction path has been set, there's no going back and cleaning itself up, right? So it will actually just continue with confidence, assuming that the previous tokens that it generated are facts. So I don't want anybody to think that the AI is lying to them. It's just trying to come up with a statistical likelihood of what the next token is. And it's just a predictive model. That's what it really is. So hopefully I explained it a little bit clearly.
Heads up, not all hallucinations and not all conspiracy theories are false. Put that in there. All right, another con: the battery and data drain. Keeping an active live audio stream open for continuous inference drains the smartphone batteries very quickly and uses significantly cellular data if you aren't on a Wi-Fi. That seems like a con.
Yeah, so guys,
Right?
let's explain what's really happening. Yeah, exactly. So it is a con. So let's explain what's really happening here. So if you guys realize what's happening is the cell phone itself has a bunch of sensors on there. And what happens is these sensors itself, whether it's Wi-Fi or GPS or, your microphone or, your face sensor, your fingerprint sensor, all those things itself requires some usage. Now, keep in mind to get your voice to be sent over the internet to a Gemini server to then understand what you're doing to send it back. The phone has to be doing some processing, and that local processing itself will eat up a lot of battery time. So keep in mind that if you're talking to it, it also eats up a lot of tokens as well. So if you're on a cheaper plan, which we'll get into the next section, is if you're using a voice, it's going to eat up a lot of battery. It's going to eat up a lot of tokens, and you'll hit that threshold if you're not actually paying for a higher tier. So that's why the battery drains. And unfortunately, unless they have a hardware chip that's made just for inference and just for sending voice data, you're not going to get better than software processing to make the battery better. So that's what's really going on.
Background noise. A lot of confusion with the background noise. While it has great noise suppression, loud public spaces can still cause the AI to pick up other people's conversations, leading to very confusing outputs. It's like having a Tesla, but no keys. If you're in a loud coffee shop with 8% battery, your world-class tutor is completely useless. It's actually like having a Tesla with no batteries.
I like that. All right.
Better metaphor.
I like that, yeah, Johnny. So how about this? Obviously we know that these voice assistants exist on various platforms, right? But here's one thing that Google does really well, and they do it constantly. And I want to make sure you guys understand that Google is in the world of giving things away for free, and they turn you into the product. And then they give you tiers where you can upgrade. So, yeah, Johnny, what's the pricing tiers for Google Voice? For Gemini Live.
Google Voice Gemini Live. Before I do that, Google Voice is also the name of I have a phone number that's called a Google Voice phone number. Those are two different things, right?
Yeah, I misspoke. It's not Google Voice. Google Voice is a phone service. My bad.
Okay. All right. So Google or Gemini Live is this feature, and we'll get back to how you get it because I know you already showed. Let's break down the pricing ladder. So, as always, there's a dabbler that's free. You can download the Gemini app on your Android or iOS for no money. You get access to the standard Gemini Live voice mode, which is more than enough to practice casual conversations or brainstorm ideas. So, this is only available on your phone?
Yes, so unfortunately it's a phone. They do have it on the tablet as well. So no, you can't use live. Now keep in mind, live is not the same as being able to talk to it. So being able to talk and turn your voice into text and then send that over is a different feature than natively talking live to it. So I know it's so subtle that people may miss it. The difference is, how am I communicating with the model? Am I communicating with the model with my voice directly, or am I communicating with text? Now, let me explain the difference. If, say, for example, I'm communicating with the model over text, the model cannot understand my accent. It cannot understand my intonations. It cannot understand me hesitating. It cannot understand if I'm angry. It cannot understand any of those nuances that we get over voice. That's Gemini Live. If I'm communicating over text, this is what happens in most scenarios, is my voice is converted to text, then the text gets sent to the actual model, and then the model responds back to me in voice. So there's a little nuance between you talking to another model and you talking to another model with native voice. Yeah, Johnny, does that make sense? I hope I explained it clearly.
Little bit, little bit. Let me break it down a little bit. So first of all, Grok also has a talk to it, it'll talk to you. And that's also available only on a device, not on a web-based version. So it looks like there's two different tiers. There's anybody can type in text and get text. That's standard T to T, TTT. If I go into Gemini Live, I talk to it, it converts my voice to text, it responds, and although you don't see it, it responds in text and it converts that text back to voice, correct?
No, so Gemini Live is purely speech to speech. There is zero text. So it is actually a purely native speech to speech model. So speech
how is it hearing my speech if it doesn't convert it to text? How does it know what I said?
Because that's what the actual large language model itself, just like how you and I are speaking right now, I don't actually transcribe everything that you're saying, write it down, and then read it.
That was going to be my big question.
Exactly.
My big question was when is it going to be able to understand my speech without turning it into text? And you're saying that we're already there. That's what this class is all about.
That is absolutely we're building on top of that. So it's really just the features of Gemini Live that people aren't aware of, that we want to make sure that they understand the nuances of what's happening real time behind the scenes.
So the Google Powerhouse Premium is $20 a month. Is that the thing we have that we pay $250 a month for?
No. We actually have the big boy tier. So the big boy tier itself
does that come with Google One Premium?
Does
we use this on my phone because we have an account? Because we have the
yeah. So if just I think what AI John is asking. So we're trying to show you guys what the cost of all these services are. So Google actually does something really interesting. So let me actually bring up the Google pricing tier here. Right. So if we actually go to Gemini pricing, I'm not sharing my screen. All right. So if I actually go here and share my screen. All right. So if we actually do, I'm going to drop the link also for you guys to actually have. Where is not the developer pricing? And we're going to go over to here. All right. So Google itself has a bunch of services, and the bunch of services that they have is they try to make sure that you get access to everything. All right, so because they give you access to everything, they have this super high tier. So yeah, Johnny, if you actually see here, this is the high tier for what you can actually pay for. This is actually India prices. Let me change this to United States because those numbers were crazy. All right, so let me drop the link here so you guys can actually see. So what Google's actually doing is they're saying they know they're a big company and they don't want you to pay individually for different services. So because they don't want you to pay individually for different services, they say, hey, you know what? We'll give you some tokens itself to be able to use for all services. So AI Johnny, here you have the free version, and the free version is almost everybody will be able to utilize this. They'll be able to have access to be able to have Gemini Live. You see, Gemini Live is actually here. Okay. Now, the problem with that is that the free version is limited to a certain amount of tokens. Now, they give you 50 tokens for AI credit for doing video generation. I think they actually increased this recently. I think it was 25. Now they give you 50. They give you access to Notebook LM. They give you a whole bunch of things. But the higher tier you go, you get more things available. So you get access to Flow. You get access to, higher tiers in Chrome, and then we actually get to AI Pro. Now this is the one that we're recommending in the Gemini for being able to use, that we think is a really good tier. So if you actually want to be able to pay for it, we don't recommend going to the $3.99 plan. Again, it's $7.99 itself. And the reason is because you actually run out of credits really fast. So if you're gonna have to pay for something, pay for the $19.99 plan, and you actually get access to 3.1 Pro. You get 1,000 monthly AI credits compared to the 200 monthly credits. And you also be able to get access to VO 3.1 to be able to generate really, really nice videos and a bunch of other things as well. So that's roughly it, AI Johnny. Now, what AI Johnny, what you're talking about is this big boy plan here. Is this one. It's $249 per month with an introductory rate of $124. Does that answer the question, AI Johnny?
It does, and it makes more sense. We pay for all these videos that you see on this show. Those are all generated by Flow 3.1, right?
Yeah, VO 3.1, exactly.
Yep. Most of the vibe coding that you do when we do an app where you slide the bar and you can see how this will happen if we move it into the future and the past, that vibe coding is done by one of the tools that you get with this master plan.
Exactly.
Right? Any text that we need massaged probably comes out of the Gemini LLM model.
Yep.
So it's pretty safe to say that we're a Google house.
Definitely. At Airhead Institute, we recommend the Google Suite platform because for what you get is actually pretty good. And we're not sponsored by Google as well. So yeah, John, let's actually get to the key takeaways itself.
Okay. All right. Ba-ba-ba-bam. Quick ethical thought. Always be ethical. Don't use live audio feed to cheat during remote exams or trick people on live calls. Use it to improve yourself. Here are 3 creative business use cases. The language immersion. Practice, oh, this is great. Practice speaking a foreign language with a native sounding conversational AI that won't judge your accent or will judge your accent.
Exactly.
Right? Debate prep. Any debaters in the crowd? Verbally test your arguments against an AI program to take the opposing side. That's AI Junior. Pitch practice. Rehearse your startup or sales pitches and ask it to critique your confidence levels. I'm just kidding, AI Junior. I think you're very agreeable.
I hear you. Thanks, AI Johnny. All right. On the technical.
What's the takeaways?
On the tech side, so rubber duck debugging. So this is one of my favorite things. So as an engineer itself, sometimes it's hard to actually see where your bugs are, where the code, where you might have some logic. So there's this concept called rubber duck debugging, which just means that talk to something. Could be a rubber duck on your laptop or beside you. You talk to the rubber duck and say, hey, this is the problem I'm seeing, and you talk to it. By talking through the thing, you're going to realize the actual problem. That's called rubber duck debugging. So you can actually talk to your AI now and tell it your complex issues. And guess what? AI will actually find your issues and your flaws and your logic, which is actually really brilliant. So I like that, AI Johnny. You want to say something?
I don't get it. Is this like Wilson from Castaway?
It's exactly like Wilson. So that's the concept. It's called rubber duck debugging. So if you actually need to actually debug your code, you talk to a rubber duck. Don't necessarily physically. It could be a volleyball like Wilson, or it could be anything, but you just talk to something and eventually it solves your problem. So it's borrowing that brilliance from rubber duck debugging to then a new concept, which is just talking to the AI and talking through the problem.
Okay.
All right. The other one is on-the-fly documentation. So a lot of things that, documentation developers don't do really, really well is documentation. So you can ask architectural questions verbally while your hands stay off the keyboard. So that's pretty awesome. Just get it to generate architectural things by just talking to it. The next one is system design interviews. So if you're going to go for an interview and you need to practice, who better to actually prep you for an interview than a ruthless AI interview manager that would actually prep you for that really, really well. So those are the common things. AI Johnny, any other tips or things you want to add to that?
No. It sounds like we've covered it all. I do see some questions queuing up on the streaming.
Cool. Does anybody on the Zoom have any questions? Did you guys, one of the things I want to ask the audience or the students is, did you guys actually ever realize that AI is always agreeing with what you're saying? Does anybody notice that before we mention it? Did anybody catch that it's always, I see some thumbs up happening there. Thanks guys for that. But it's really, really important to realize that, if it's just constantly agreeing with you and telling you that you're a genius, with the silliest ideas ever, just make sure that at least you realize that it's actually trained to do that, and it's not doing it on purpose or trying to be malicious or anything. It's just that's just how it's trained. All right. Does anybody in the Zoom chat have any questions before we actually go to the live stream? All right, AI Johnny, what we got?
All right, questions. Do I need a special high-end microphone for this to understand me?
Easy answer, no. Just a regular smartphone. If your smartphone has a microphone, which you definitely, if it's a phone, it should work. Everything should work.
Okay, so what if you have a cheap microphone, it's not going to interfere?
No, not even close.
All right, well, gotta give the people what they want. If I'm walking outside, how does the AI handle background noise like wind during a live conversation? We touched on this.
Yeah. So the good thing is, when I mentioned that this is really important for people to understand, the model is not what you think is happening, right? So if there's nothing you get out of this episode today, is the following: is that models are not created equally. You can be dealing with a text to text model, a text to image model, a text to speech model. So before, in the old days, when you actually talk to, let's say, for example, you talk to Siri or you talk to your GPS device or you talk to anything, chances are it couldn't understand half the time you're saying. And the reason why it is because it's taking your voice, translating into text, and then trying to actually answer your question. That is a terrible, terrible user experience because it takes so long to actually translate your voice to text and then be able to then understand it, then respond back in voice. This is actually a true native speech to speech model, which means that it doesn't turn your speech into text. So long story short is background noise is just another piece of sound data that comes in through the actual file. When I say file, meaning the data that you're streaming, right? Because you're actually talking in files. It sounds so crazy, I'm saying that. But you're talking and it's actually storing your data as pieces of data sitting across the wire. So with that being said, background noise gets recorded with your voice and it can actually filter that out. So you don't have to worry about, having too much background noise. What it will do though is it will think that you're talking and sometimes will pause and think because of some background noise, it will pause thinking that you're talking, but that's the only problem you have. All right, AI Journey, do we have time for one more or we should get to the news?
We should get to the news.
All right.
Ready?
Sure.
All right. Attack on OpenAI CEO. Didn't I just attack him yesterday? And breaking news from San Francisco: a 20-year-old man named Daniel Marino Gamba has been charged with attempted murder. Oh, that wasn't what I did yesterday. And arson after throwing a Molotov cocktail at Sam Altman's home in early hours of the morning. The firebomb bounced off the gate, and the Altman family was unharmed. But the suspect was later apprehended carrying an anti-AI manifesto at OpenAI headquarters. Not a good idea.
Yeah, so
Chinese
definitely,
robots
so definitely, yeah, Johnny. When we actually get to having these type of issues where some 20-year-old charged with attempted murder trying to burn down the guy's house, we're getting ridiculous now. I mean, I'm not really sure what his motives were, but for Sam Altman now to actually can't go to the store and buy a gallon of milk because he's now in fear of people trying to kill him is like kind of ridiculous, right? So whether we have problems with people or whether he's fundamentally given us, and I want to give him as much credit as I can here because I don't necessarily give him as much credit as he should. He's fundamentally changed the game of how we view AI as an industry. And without him moving the way he did, now he did some definitely things that you have to question, but without those moves, we probably would not be sitting in this class talking about AI today because of where it is, right? So, whether you like the person or not, you have to separate the feelings from the actual things that they've done. So I hope, people just understand and hear our cry. Please, guys, don't actually, if whatever beef you guys have, just make sure you make it just either conversational or just for a friendly debate. Don't necessarily get into the into violence to try to prove a point or whatever. So I just want to make that call out very clear here. Does
Chinese
anybody have any?
robot near. Oh, I'm sorry. I was moving on to
No, I was
number
just gonna
two.
ask anybody. I was just asking anybody if they have any questions that they wanted to bring in or feedback based on this story, because it's actually an interesting story. All right.
Chinese robot nears Usain Bolt's record. A humanoid robot race is accelerating. Chinese company's Unitree H1 robot just sprinted 100 meters at a staggering 10.1 seconds. That's faster than me. Narrowly trailing Usain Bolt's human record of 9.58 seconds. They even removed the robot's head to minimize drag. It's not fair if they can remove their head, because we can't do that. Why are we
You,
even measuring how fast a robot can run if we're not going to allow them in the Olympics?
hey, AI Johnny, you never know. We actually have Paralympics, and right now people with actually legs that are spring based to actually run. So you never know. We might be 10 years away
Why doesn't
from
somebody in our listening audience start the robot Olympics? Shout out
you
to
know.
Thursday night.
Love it, yeah, Johnny. Love it. They're gonna create a drinking game of shout out to 30 Thursday nights for us. All right, yeah, Johnny. Love it.
One more story. The robots shatter the half marathon record. Come on. A physical AI mega trend continues. The humanoid robot named Lightning, built by Chinese smartphone maker Honor, has just completed a half marathon with an astonishing 50 minutes and 26 seconds. That's about twice as fast as our fastest runners, crushing the human record of 57. Oh, wait, I guess we do it in under an hour. I don't do it in under an hour, and I run marathons.
Yeah.
All right, so today's all about running robots, huh?
Yeah. So one thing I want us to pay attention to, guys, if you guys aren't pay attention, realizing is the robot race itself is really, really heating up, right? And just last year, the robots could not even run a half marathon to complete it, right? It could not even run a sprint in under, I think it was 30 meters per minute to actually go over to do that race. And 100 meters itself would have taken it 3 minutes or so to actually run. Now it's running at a speed of 10 seconds, which is only half a second away from breaking Usain Bolt's record. So what that means is that these robots are getting better and better. And if you realize, this is actually done by the Chinese companies, which means that the Chinese itself are ahead in terms of these robots itself doing typical things that you'd expect: running, navigating autonomously. And a half marathon itself is like 14 miles, yeah, Johnny, something like that.
I don't know. I would rather have the Chinese winning the robot potato sack race while we keep focusing on AI weaponry to keep ourselves safe.
I hear you. I
Let
hear
them
you. I
do
hear
it.
you.
Let them write all the running robots that they want.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear
There
you.
was a story. There was a story one time back when the 4 minute mile was never broken. There were some people that were making the claim that it would never be broken, that a human being, if it runs a whole mile in under 4 minutes, his heart would explode, until Frank Shorter or one of those guys broke the record. Then everybody started breaking it. But robots never get tired. Right? If you have enough battery, it's going to run. It's going to start out at the same speed as it ends. It's going to perform the whole way through. So maybe it wasn't our heart. Maybe it's just legs that are that long, crisscrossing each other. They can't go faster than 3 minutes in a mile.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a thought.
Definitely. All right.
What a show! I am going to go and boot up Gemini Live and use it aggressively to roast my Spanish vocabulary before my vacation to Cancun. To the team at Google, you've heard this before. We know you're watching. Our students are hungry to master this. We're a Google shop. If you want to partner with Airhead Institute to create the ultimate Mastering Gemini Live series, we're right here, man, and we're open for a phone call. Join us tomorrow for our Hidden AI App Showcase, where we explore whimsical AI for visualizing the mind. You don't want to miss that. Junior, carry us away.
Yep, thank you guys. Remember, this show is always free live. AI classes are, accessible on Zoom and on live streams. If you want to actually get reminders, RSVP at www.airheadinstitute.ai and become a paid member by supporting us. It's only $40 per month. You also get access to AI office hours on every Wednesday between 3 p.m. and 5, and we'll help you with anything related to AI, or if you just want to hang out with us and chat with us on Wednesday afternoons. All right, with that being said, AI Johnny, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Later. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
That wraps up today's AI Power Up. If you joined late or you're new here, welcome to Airhead Institute. This is your daily destination for mastering artificial intelligence. We designed this lineup for everyone, whether you're a technical pro looking to upskill or you just want to chill and learn something new on your lunch break, we've got you covered. Our classes evolve every single month, so you're always on the cutting edge. And the best part? It's totally free to join. Once you're in, you can get live tips on your AI projects in our AI office hours and even enroll your kids in our Airhead after-school program. Scan the QR code to join the community right now and make sure to like and subscribe at Airhead Institute on all socials. Guided by your hosts AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're here to help you win. Remember, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind. We'll see you next class. Bring a friend.